Right, the red button, and if you can see the red button in your top left-hand corner, Luke, that means that we're actually live on Facebook. No one's watching just yet, so I'm going to waffle for a few seconds, make sure that neither of us say anything too abusive to each other, and then we'll just just allow a few seconds for folk to join us. And I'm going to flick things up on my screen. It's brilliant to see you, Luke. Thanks so much for joining us. And look, it's cool because we only met. We've never met in person. We only met online a few days ago when the marvelous mechanical mouse organ that is John Card sort of, hooked us up, and we had that great conversation last week. So thank you so much for jumping on the live stream with us tonight, and for the knowledge that you're about to share and the things that I'm about to make you reveal. I thank you.
You say that, you haven't heard the last of it.
How's things going, Luke? And whereabouts are you in the world tonight?
So I am in a little town called Arundel in West Sussex, right down on the south coast, smack bang in between Brighton and Portsmouth.
Beautiful part of the world.
Yeah, I'm.
Do you live in the castle, Luke?
I don't know. I've got a little office down the end of my garden, which is where I am now.
Fantastic, fantastic. So we're just jumping on now with a few folk. We've got some lovely faces from the Pop-Up Business School world that have joined us. Just going to give a couple of shout outs. It's great to see John's joined us, Russell, who's head of electricity for the whole of Kent. We've got Emma Can, KC from Didcot, Therese, great to see you here, KC. Teresa's here, and we've got Jem here, Chad's watching from the USA, Laura's watching from Wales. We've got like a good spread of folk from across the country and across the world. You're a musician, Luke. We've just had a musician join us. You into music?
Do you know what? I'll listen to music. Ask me to play an instrument, give up.
We've got Oliver After Dark's just joined us. He's head of drumming for the entire of the South Coast. So we've got some cool folk that have joined us. And look, for the people that are just joining, I'd like to welcome Luke Mead, who is the founder and CEO of the LMS Group, which I'll let him introduce the company properly in a second. But Luke and I met last week. We're going to dive into a bunch of stuff that will include starting a business at the age of 15. So if anyone's watching that you've got kids, teenage kids, or kids that have just left their teenage years that are struggling for a bit of direction, and that maybe you want to inspire them to start a business, then we're going to hear from Luke and Luke's particular story, because it's absolutely fascinating to find out how he started his first business at 15. So we're going to dive into that. We're going to talk about starting a business, growing a business, making lots of mistakes, making even more mistakes, getting it right accidentally, getting it right on purpose, and how to cope, how an entrepreneur copes and thinks about the times that we're in at the moment. And then I reckon we could probably push on through till dawn with that subject matter, Luke, but I reckon the plan is we'll stop at 10. So folks, please can you interact with this post? Please can you share this post? Because the stuff that we're going to chat about tonight is going to be helpful for you, and it's going to be helpful for lots of people as well. So as you know, we post this on the Pop-Up Business School Survival Guide. Jack's going to stick the link at the bottom. He's also going to stick a link to LMS Group, which I think LMS.group is your email, your website, isn't it, Luke?
That's not the name.
Yeah. Cool. I was just looking up here. You've got a very handsome looking team on the top row that I've just got. So Luke, welcome from sunny Arundel. Let's start at the end rather than the beginning. So how's life for LMS Group? Tell us a little bit about your business and what things have been like for you since the start of March.
No worries. So yeah, a bit about my business. We provide outsourced IT solutions, telephone solutions, cybersecurity solutions to mid-sized companies. Well, I say around the UK. We've got clients internationally. And that could be everything from my printer's broken, help, all the way through to large systems. One of our clients, for instance, does all the printing for McDonald's, so managing their system. So if that stops or breaks, there's a lot of hungry people around the UK. So yeah, it's quite diverse what we do. Since the 1st of March, whenever it was, it's lost me. I've been lost with the whole situation. I don't even know what day it is at the minute. It's been business as usual, truth be told. We've been a bit quieter recently. Obviously, with people being off on furlough, requests coming into our company have died down. but yeah, we've used the opportunity to actually bring forward some projects internally and make full use of the team. So yeah, I've used it as a opportunity really to get our foundations in place so we can come out the end and really differentiate against our competition. So yeah, it's
Yeah, cool.
so far good fun, especially all working from home. Like, my God, I really miss the interaction with the rest of the team.
Yeah, sure. I don't wife that, because I know that she can't hear you because she's in the house. That tell her that you're missing being with the team. That would be my top tip of the day.
Yeah, I'm missing the billiards table at the office. Is the honest truth.
I think you should go into the office and go and get it.
You say
so
that.
look,
my colleague Chris, he's got triplets, and they're 7 months old now. He's the only one working out of the office. We're all working from separate locations, yet there's no way I'm working from home. So God bless him, he's there keeping the fort.
Luke, I'm absolutely in awe of what you've achieved. We had a bit of this conversation last week. That, you know, I know that it'll be a surprise to everybody watching, a big shock to everybody. Tell them that I'm actually nearly 46 years old. I know that would be devastating to some that thought I was considerably than that. But look, you're 29. You're running a company that's turning over a few million, and you've got, you know, sort of 12 odd members of staff. It makes me wonder what on earth I've been doing for the last 10 years. Like, when did it start to become, you know, a bigger operation for you? And I'm going to do this a little bit unusually. I'm going to sort of go backwards in time.
All right.
You know, because we want to sort of draw out some of your learnings and how you think, because I think it's fascinating. When did you realize that you were in it for growing a bigger business? How old were you when you saw that coming?
Do you know what? I never saw it coming until I woke up one day and I was like, Christ, what's just happened? So I think the weirdest thing, Simon, is I never set out with a game plan or any serious goals. When I started the company, it was a hobby, and, you know, I was just fixing PCs and having fun. And yeah, all of a sudden it just got real, and I was like, Christ, this is happening, and just ran with it. So yeah, I've in answer to your question, it just happened.
I love that. So that gives hope for all of us. Now, you're being very humble about this, Luke. I know that you might have put in a shift or two to make it happen, but I do get that sense, because I felt it shift under our feet a couple of times. I felt us sort of hit a different level, and there's lots of hard work that goes behind the scenes. But where did you put your effort that meant that you woke up one day and the thing was starting to take off? Where was your energy and effort going?
Do you know, I think in terms of energy and effort, and this is really bizarre, you say I'm 29 now, I feel so old when I compare myself to that 15-year-old lad. And I used to put in, Christ, 20 odd hours a day solidly, and I was just wired. And now if I do 2 consecutive late nights, I'm dead. So, you know, back in those early days, I was just a machine. I think you are when you're younger. And, you know, it really gave me a solid run. And all of a sudden, before I knew about it, there was this momentum and it was just turning. So, yeah, that was the big push. The other push was around, you know, just getting the word out. And that, you know, predominantly did that through local networking and posting flyers through letterboxes. So, yeah, it was that initial push and getting it going. That was the hard graft, and that's where all the effort went. And, you know, don't get me wrong, it's still a lot of effort, but I really look back and remember that time, and I don't think I could do it again now.
The question, like I was going to ask folk that are watching, we've got Gareth here. I don't know if you know Gareth. Gareth's down from your neck of the woods. Yeah, linked to. I've known Gareth a lot of years, actually, funnily enough. And Gareth's saying it's awesome what you've done to grow your business, and I think absolutely right. I was going to invite anyone that's watching to ask questions of Luke, because we've got this one-time opportunity of a young, successful entrepreneur that has grown a business from the age of 15, from when he first started, through to what he's doing now. It's an IT business, so please fire in your questions. Maybe it's questions about what his successes are, where he thinks he might have made mistakes, what he would do differently next time. Whatever things trigger your mind, let's take an opportunity to dive into Luke's brain And in fact, we're gonna soar off the top and get some information from you, Luke, because I think what I picked up from our chat last week was that you can spot an entrepreneur a mile off, and I think I'm a bit of an imposter. Like I'm learned behavior. I didn't start until I was 30 and had sort of 10 years of mistakes before I started getting some results that I wanted. But you definitely think differently, and I think for those, especially those that have got kids that are watching that want to inspire their kids into entrepreneurship, let's go back to the beginning. When you were at school, I've got a funny feeling you weren't the model student, Luke.
Dare I
like a guess?
I was a little shit. I was so bored at school. It did not challenge me in any way, shape, or form, and not academic in any way. So you did have your model students, and then I was probably somewhere down here, is the God's honest truth.
So were you someone that was in trouble at school a lot, or were you just someone that was just disengaged and disinterested, or a bit of both?
Bit of both. And I was in trouble because I was disengaged and disinterested. And, school very much pigeonholes you. And if you don't fit that mold, you soon fall out, or I felt as a student that I fell out the system. I didn't fit. And, wasn't left to drift. School was great. But you've got the main bulk of students going off in the direction of, right, we're going on to further studies at college, at A levels, then we're going to go to uni, and that just did not interest me one bit. So I felt lost.
So what happened? What was the sort of turning point when you decided to you sort of found something that excited you that was outside of the education system? And tell us about that. What happened when you first got something going? What happened?
So I was a closet nerd. I always swore that I'd never work in IT, because it's like you go to a party and you'll meet someone, and I never wanted to be that guy. So, oh, Luke, hi, what do you do? It's like, oh, I work in IT. It's just conversation dead, tumbleweed. And it took me a while to come around to the fact that actually I am going to work in IT. But what I did, I started out closet nerd, great at fixing PCs, working with computers, and would just fix family, friends' computers. And all of a sudden, I was that go-to person. And I thought, well, hold on a minute. At the time, I had a part-time job at a little cafe in Arundel. And every Saturday I'd work, and every Wednesday after school. And my life revolves around this gravy pot. And I'll tell you the story. So every Wednesday I used to get off the school bus, and I'd hate it. I'd dread it, because this blooming gravy pot, no one wanted to wash it up from the Sunday service. And no joke, it had about an inch thick of gravy on the bottom. It was disgusting. So that was my job on a Wednesday after school. Scrub this gravy pot clean. My hands would stink of gravy for like the next couple of days. It was minging. And I kind of had an epiphany, Simon. I was like, do you know, there's a better thing, there's a better way. And I had this talent, and that talent was IT, it was computers. So I thought, sod it, let's just give this a go. And like you said earlier on, went into school, and no joke, I reckon I printed off 10,000 flyers, like rinsed the printer dry of all the toner and paper. And over the course of a couple of weekends, every single house in Arundel had one of these flyers through their letterbox, and it was, I'll fix your PC for a couple of quid. I think at the time I charged £30 an hour, which when you're 15, I felt like I was
pretty bold.
Yeah. And all of a sudden the phone started ringing, and like I remember vividly, I got home from school one day, and my mum, she's like, Luke, a lady has left a voicemail and wants you to go and see her. What is going on? And it went from there. So that was it.
Who gave you permission, Luke?
Permission to do what?
To print flyers to go and sell.
No one, myself.
So when your parents discovered that you got these older women that are ringing you asking you to go around their house,
I could charge them £30 an hour.
What was the thing? Because I remember you telling me last week, your parents aren't entrepreneurs, are they? So it's not like you had a sort of a model of entrepreneurship that you were following. You were kind of, sort of breaking new ground as far as your close family was concerned. Is that right?
Yeah. So my mum worked at a nursery school, and my old man was a London firefighter. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, like, I wish I was half the man my dad is, because he's just such a grafter, and like, his whole life has just grafted for the sake of like me, my brother, and my mum.
Amazing.
And yeah, I think that's probably where I got it from. He's always had a huge work ethic, and growing up, saw that and subconsciously took it on.
Yeah. Nice. Same here. Yeah, my dad was a cop in Sussex, actually, in Worthing and Shoreham, and exactly the same. Public sector background, but put in the shift and put in lots of hours. So I can relate to that a lot. I'm interested, because a lot of people that come to pop-up business schools and that ask me, for help with business, and that chat to Alan and the team, they always, pricing is a big challenge. And I think I did it myself when I started. Undercharging was, I definitely undercharged for about 3.5, 4 years.
Yeah.
What point in your brain as a 15-year-old did you have the audacity to go, yeah, it's £30 an hour? I wasn't even charging £30 an hour as a 30-year-old, thinking, because I was a little bit too nervous about charging that amount of money. But I'm curious about what went through your head.
I just made some phone calls to local computer shops and said, I've got a new PC. How much you charge to set it up? I was like, oh, great, I'll phone you back. And just mystery shopped them. And you say about undercharging, like, went along for a few years, and then all of a sudden I realized people are paying this, and they're not even battering an eyelid. So rightly or wrongly, I just kept creeping up my prices until there was a problem. And that's kind of how you gauge your market, is push and push and push. And when you start seeing a problem, you know where your ceiling is.
So you stuck all these flyers through people's doors across Arundel, which I absolutely love. And the paper and the printer, the photocopier ink wasn't entirely yours. These are minor details. The education system fully invested in you and the job creation. So it was a good investment, that paper. So let's just go with that.
Yeah, the tax man has got a big return on that.
Do you remember what results you got from the flyer drop?
No, but do you know what? One thing that I remember. So I had like a little trolley, and I made it out of a skateboard and a baby bath, and I like put all the flyers in that, and I'd drag it around. And I posted this flyer through a letterbox, and on this letterbox it said no circulars. And this woman, right miserable woman, like, obviously picked it out of the letterbox, had nothing better to do, came running down the street, goes, "Excuse me, the letterbox says no circulars. You shouldn't be giving this." And I turned around and said, "It's square, love." So that was the only thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I got results, people phoned, but that was the only thing that really resonated from my flyer dropping.
You were born to do this, Luke. So how busy were you as you were sort of finishing school and, hitting your 16, 17-year-old years? Did you carry on doing that thing, or did you experiment with other stuff at that time?
Yeah. So like at that time, I was just working for like residential clients, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And that then led on to people talking. And obviously a lot of owner managed businesses use IT in their companies. So yeah, all of a sudden, before I knew it, I started having small businesses phone me up for IT support. And that then led outside of Arundel as well. So my parents used to have to drive me to appointments and wait outside while I was going like fix this network for a company. So it organically grew.
So did you, as you were going through that process, obviously the jobs, as the jobs get bigger, inevitably you come across something that you go, I don't know how to do that. I've never done that before. And I can just tell that you're the sort of guy that figures it out. But did you pick up any qualifications along the way that, sort of industry ones, or did you just go, no, I'll figure it out, don't worry about it? How did you get over those challenges?
So let me see. Can I share my screen? I'll find something for you in a minute. Whilst I look for this, I'll tell you a story. So I went to, it was at the time, like fast forward a bit, and I was just about to employ my first member of staff and had an email come through for an employment seminar, and went along to it and sat next to a bloke, and we just got chatting like house on fire. A bloke called Mike, and he ran a insurance brokers, and when we were at this seminar, and it was, oh, hello, who are you? I'm Luke, I'm Mike, nice to meet you. But halfway through, he turned to me, he goes, this is going on a bit, isn't it? It's a bit of a sales pitch. I was like, yeah, you've cottoned on, I just want to leave. He's like, yeah, me too. Yeah, so why are you here? I said, oh, I'm just about to take on a member of staff, know nothing about employment law, thought I'd come along. Why are you here? I've just fired a guy. He's just left the business. Oh, right, okay. He goes, I want to know where I stand. And he goes, what do you do then? I was like, oh, I run an IT business. He goes, great. Well, this bloke that's just left looked after our IT. Come and see me. So I went and saw him a week later, and turned out they needed a new server. Now, I knew that. At the time, I knew nothing about servers, like literally never touched one. And oh, you need a new server, Mike. Oh, great, do us a quote. So like literally a week of YouTube, went back with a quote, and was like, right, this is what you need, blah, blah, blah. And like, great, signed it off. There's a deposit. And I remember I walked out the door, I was like, bugger, what have I done? And like sailed through it, like blagged my way through it, nailed it, if I'm brutally honest, because I suppose, you know, I had the confidence, I'd got a bit of background knowledge, and, you know, my experience I could get from A to B. So yeah, like put in this new server for them, migrated over their systems, their data, their Exchange server at the time, and job done. So there's things like that, you know, that's just one example. It gave me a massive confidence boost, and went forward from there. So I mean, that was the one bit. The other bit, you mentioned qualifications. While you ask your next question, I'm going to find something and share my screen, because I've got a golden story about that.
I love it. Whilst you look for that, I'm just going to dive into the thread here. We've got Anders Bohia, who's a friend of mine from down your neck of the woods, who runs a business in Southampton. He's watching. Good to see you, Bosie. And Chad is asking a couple of questions, so we're going to dive into those. Paul Manette, the amazing Paul Manette, our friend from Big Issue World, is watching. Square love. Can I quote you on that? Is what Paul's asking. He's a good marketer, Paul, so he obviously likes the approach that you've taken for customer relations. I think before we answer the questions, in fact, I'm going to get Jack on fairly soon, and he can answer the questions for us, because I know he's been watching the questions come in. The thing that went through my mind, I think one of the first questions that came in, I can't remember who asked it, but they said, is it all about marketing? Is it, because you said, I just got my name out there, really. And the posh word that we often use is marketing, but it doesn't sound very scientific to me. You just seem to go and promote as much as you could, talk to people as much as you could. And if anyone asked you something you didn't know, you just said yes, and then you went to figure it out later. Is that kind of what happened?
This ties in nicely with what I just found. I can't find it on the screen, but I've got it on my phone. Marketing is all about positioning yourself. Now, all I've got to my name is half a BTEC national diploma and a load of GCSEs. And I've only got half a BTEC national diploma because I fell out of college, so I got too busy and was losing money. And so in answer to your question, qualifications, that's all I've got. But I thought I can't put on my LinkedIn profile that I've just got a half of a BTEC. People wouldn't take me seriously. So I made up that I did a DOHE in IT networking and network technologies at Chichester College. So Chichester College had a 50-year anniversary and did a load of studies on all their ex-students. So I don't know if you can see that. That's a poster. And at Chichester College, it says, Luke Mead, qualified here with the DOHE in IT networking and network technologies. So they're advertising this, qualification that I made up, and they're saying they do it at the college.
You should launch that qualification, Luke. I think you should launch that. I think I know a lot of people that would sign up for that.
Yeah. So I mean, that, as I said, marketing, that links into it. All marketing is really positioning yourself as an authority. Now, I'm not saying I've blagged my way through life. As a company, we do some great stuff. We've got some really clever technology solutions. I've got a great team, and we've really helped transform a lot of businesses become more efficient. But yeah, in those early days when it was just me, my skill set was that, and I didn't have the budget to go and employ resource that I needed to grow the business. So yeah, early on I had to blag it.
Yeah. Do you know what I love about that is this is the difference between lots of folk that I meet that are exploring starting a business for the first time. And often the people that come to PopUp are over 30, 35. We meet people that are, they've left their job, or they've been fired, or they've just decided that they're not ready to retire, but they've reached retirement age. So we meet a lot of folk in middle age that want to start. And I was one of these too, of having employee mindset. I had a career for 10 years working in a large organization. And I think when you work for someone else, before you launch something, before you go and talk to customers, it has got to be right. And it has got to be good quality, because you've got the organization that's built up its reputation. But of course, when you're starting, you kind of build it as you go, don't you? And it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, this qualification conundrum, which is kind of why I asked you the question, I think that's the best answer I've ever had to the qualification question, because it's very similar to the advice that we get. Yeah, I love it. It's just made it up. That's what we say to people. Yeah, but I can't be a coach yet because I don't have a qualification. I haven't got a certificate. And I say, well, tell me your name and I'll print one off for you. Because if you've got life experience, if in your world, if you know a little bit about the kit and you know how to find out the answer, if you don't know, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just go, I'm just going to go and figure it out. Bear with me,
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, in those early days, I didn't have a reputation. But the business has grown because of our reputation and the fact we do a good job and our clients have referred us. But back when I only had, no clients, no one could refer me. So in order to start growing, you have to win a client. And, in order to win a client, I had to blag it.
I'm going to dive into some of the lessons that you've learned and the things that went well and what didn't. I think the first thing I want to do is it right that the acronym that you came up with was DOHE?
Yeah.
Is that right? Right. So Emma's asking, what does it stand for? Did you know what it stands for? Can you remember?
I can't remember.
Right. Brilliant. That's perfect. Right. In that case, I would like people that are watching the live stream, what I'd love you to do is to comment what you think the letters DOHE could or should stand for. And let's see how creative people are. I think there could be some rude ones coming in. I don't know.
Do you know what? The best one, and you can hold me to this, I'll put it on my email signature for the rest of the week.
I love that. That's an absolute brilliant. So here we go, folks. You've heard it here from the CEO and founder of the LMS Group, the best version of DOHE acronym, what you think those letters could and should have stood for. Luke's going to put that on his email signature for the rest of this week. I think that's absolutely brilliant. So Luke, in a second, I'm going to get Jack on. He's got some questions coming. I guess before we dive into those questions, one last thing went through my head, which was, so as a 15-year-old in school, and my gut feel is that things haven't changed that much. What do you think the school could have done to help you live your business? What do you think was the thing that was missing from your experience? I guess I'm kind of getting at what can we do to help inspire and give a shove to the kids like you, the ones that get lost in the system?
So there's three things that would really stand out to me. First one is work experience. Work experience is for like a week in whatever it is, year 9, and you soon forget about it. And it ain't real. And I think work experience and getting out there in the real world has to be an ongoing thing. It should form part of the curriculum. Every quarter, I think you should be out for a period of time, even if it's just a day a quarter in the real world. How that would work with businesses, I don't know. We're a small business. I know what it's like taking on work experience, but something needs to change there. The other is real life skills. So, no one at school teaches you how to manage money, pay a credit card, get a credit rating. think savvy. It's not there. And it wouldn't. I think that's probably why a lot of people in this country can't manage money, have no concept of it, because it's not taught, and it's not an inherent skill you're born with. You have to learn it. And the third thing is stop bloody pushing people down an academic route. I mean, don't get me wrong, the things have improved with apprenticeship schemes, but it's still not great. I still think a lot of young people feel they have to go on and do further study, where actually there's a big world out there, and the sooner you get in it and start earning, the better. I mean, I look at people that come to me for jobs, and we were recruited for a position a couple of years back. Final 2 candidates. One was a chap out of college, one was a chap out of uni. Chap out of uni had what, 30, 40 grand's worth of debt and a stupidly high expectation and no real world experience. Who did we employ? So, it's not all about going on and doing further studies. Yeah. School needs to just, people like me that didn't fit the mold, we don't follow that route, and they're just, we're dropped. So you need to go on and find something for all those kids.
I love it. Oh, I'm hoping, well, I think I know that Jack's here. The pubs are still shut in Basingstoke, so he's not out getting a cheeky brew dog. I know that he's going to suddenly appear like a genie from the pop-up business called Lamp. There you go, Jack. It amazes me the fact that you're like, one day you're not going to be there. I'm going to say, Jack, are you there? And you've gone. And I know you'll do that just to wind me up. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Jack, there are some acronyms that have been shared, and there are some questions.
I'm excited.
What's caught your eye?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions, but let's focus on the acronyms. It's a lot funnier. We've got oh my god, good job speaking. Don't ordinarily have education.
That's good.
Doctor of high esteem. James Headsmith commented, dogs over humans easily. Oh, there we go. Diploma of hidden education.
That's good.
Distinction Order of Higher Entrepreneurship. Blimey. Oh, I like this one. The Diploma of Hypothetical Education.
That's amazing.
That's the crackers. They're very safe. I'm disappointed that they're good, but they're safe. They're sensible. I think people need to have a couple of drinks and have another go.
Do obstacles hinder employment?
And they do. That's for sure.
Oh, I'll crack it with some questions. I'm sure there'll be some more coming in. I know we've just spoken about Lisa asks, how did you focus on what was important instead of getting distracted and overwhelmed by the noise of what you should or could be doing with your business?
Oh, that is a blinding question. Oh, crikey. I suppose that applies to, in the early days and now. I still find it bloody difficult, is the God's honest truth, to stay focused on any one given thing. Something that I got into the habit of quite early on is booking out my time. So if I know I've got something to work on, literally stick it in the diary, nothing else goes in. So that time is blocked out. Otherwise, I feel you can write lists and then rewrite lists and nothing gets done. Whereas actually, if you put something in the diary and you stick to it, that's the way to do it.
Nice, good answer. Jack, can you remind me to block out my calendar tomorrow, please?
No promises there. Caitlin asks, from the time you kicked off with the flyers and picked up the 1 gig, how long did it take you for it to become like a business that had an income that you could live off?
You got to remember, at the time I was 15, so I was in the position I didn't have to buy food, I didn't have a mortgage, and I didn't have a car. So that's where, in a way, maybe I was quite fortunate in the fact that I could take that risk. I thought a question like that would come up. I've got my P&L in front of me for my first year trading. So first year I made a loss of 6,304 quid. And that was January to December 2010. And then the following year, January to December 2011, I made a profit of 6,379 quid. So by the end of year 2, I'd only broken even. But what really stands out with this is from a salaries and expenditure point of view, first year of trading, salaries were 4,800. Second year, salaries were 21,364. So inherently, I knew I couldn't start drawing a wage out of the business. And if I did, we wouldn't grow as quickly. So everything that I was making, I was reploughing back into the business to then fire it up for further growth. And yeah, a lot of that was in staff and in resourcing. Very little of that was actually in advertising and marketing. In fact, I spent less in advertising and marketing, £1,000 less in year 2 than I did in year 1. Because at that point we, and this is something to learn actually, marketing doesn't have to cost the earth. So up until, it was only last year we employed a marketing manager in-house, and the business had grown from us being quite specific and targeted with who we wanted to work. So, yeah, company A, if I wanted to work with them, I would try every single route to get through, contacting people on LinkedIn, posting them lumpy mail, email, cold calling, the lot. And all of those methods and routes to entry were free. All it cost me was time. So, yeah, you don't need to spend a fortune in marketing. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there.
No, let me just dive into that for a second, because we've done a bit of lumpy mail over the years. Alan and I had sent all sorts of things in the early days, dinosaurs, fish. Alan sent Rubik's Cubes and all sorts of random stuff in the post. What sort of things did you send in the mail when you were having a go at direct mail?
Best thing I ever sent that got me the biggest engagement, it's quite expensive in terms of volume, was a rubber duck you put in the bathtub, and then got one of those tags, tied it around its neck, and just wrote on it, "I'll call you at certain time on certain date." And literally you'd phone through and you'd go to speak to the MD and they would take your call because that duck really got their attention. And yeah, the amount of meetings I got off of that, and the duck was still there on their desk.
I love it. Did you ever react negatively to that? Because we had a couple of people that didn't like that approach in our sort of public sector world. Did you get any? Was everyone either a zero response or a warm response, or did you get anyone grumpy?
So the one that we did get a bit of backlash from was, we thought, great, we'll pick up a client on a. You're laughing at this already. I haven't even told you. We'd pick up a client on like a trading estate or in a parade of shops, and we had some flyers printed, and on the front of them it said, "Don't settle for a S***T IT provider. Your next door neighbor hasn't." And then on the back, we'd write the company that had just like contracted with us and taken us on. And it said, "So-and-so company has just started working with us. Contact us for a free IT review." And we got an email from a pharmacy like, "Oh, we're really offended by your flyer." And so, yeah, wanted us to take it further, and said, can you please get someone to phone us?" So I phoned them, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, it's really offended us. Can we please speak to the managing director or the person in charge?" I was like, "Yeah, that's me. Tell me what the problem is." And they just wanted to bitch and a moan. You just got to be ballsy. As long as it doesn't, I say offend people, you've got to offend people in life a little bit. As long as, you know, you've got to be human. Prime example, the whole coronavirus thing, the amount of tosh that is on LinkedIn and free promotional offers to help people with coronavirus, it's, you know, it's a bit unsensitive. Unfortunately, people are dying. You can't use coronavirus for marketing. Whereas, you know, using the word shit, no big deal.
Yeah. Did you, did that, just one more time. Did that hurt you at the time? Did you sort of, that sick feeling in your stomach of like, "Oh no, I've done something bad here," or did it make you laugh? Did it bounce off you? Was it an annoyance? What was your emotion?
It reminded me of being a little naughty schoolboy again, and like, yeah, just come on, hit me again. That was good fun.
Yeah, I love that. But so it was a pharmacist. I'd have been really tempted to suggest that they've been taking too much drugs and that's why they were upset about it, but that probably wouldn't have helped things. It would have made things worse, Luke.
Yeah.
Jack, are there any more questions or any more acronyms that have come in?
Not so many acronyms coming in, which I was expecting, especially after your comment, for it to go completely off the rails. We've had things like distancing of higher education. I quite like that. Everyone's going so formal. I want ridiculous. Simon, we've had a question come in from Corinne, friend of PopUp. I know we touched on it a little bit earlier on, but I also know it's your favourite subject. How can we encourage our kids to get involved in business? Because obviously, Luke, you started at such an early age. How can we encourage kids right now to jump into business?
So I don't know, choose an industry, fish and chips. You want to go and work in fish and chips, go to your local chippy and just ask them for a job, unpaid, just to get experience and prove your worth. And the problem nowadays, I feel that, don't get me wrong, it's not the case with all younger people, but it's that snowflake generation of, oh no, you can't go out, it's dangerous out there. So I would just go to your local company, whatever it is, IT business, if you want to work in IT, ask them for work experience. Just, empty the bins, make tea, be helpful, just put yourself out there. Not enough people, especially younger generation, put themselves out. They always expect it to be handed to them on a plate. So, people that come to me and actually visit and say, look, I'm in the market, this is my CV, this is my covering letter, I keep them because they've taken the effort to come and see us. And it also shows that they've got a certain way of thinking, that they not only think different, they're actually not afraid. So all of a sudden you put that in a real world situation, you've got a really difficult client on the phone, they've got that confidence. Whereas someone that is, a situation's forced upon them, how do you think they're going to react? So always put yourself forward and, just get out there, get experience. You're on mute, Simon.
I knew that. I just had a cracking conversation with myself, Luke. I tell you what, it was fine until I answered myself back. That's when things got really weird. Luke, the thing that went through my head is two things. The first is transitioning from those first couple of years. Like, when did you discover that you had to turn it into a real business, or at least you had to make that decision? And because you mentioned something last week about a networking meeting, just to explain that, because I think that's fascinating, because it was almost like I need to wake up and smell the coffee here. Things are about to get real.
Yeah.
What happened then?
There was two epiphany moments. That was one of them. So at the time, I was running out my bedroom, and my parents had made me get a landline installed because they're fed up of the whole world and his wife leaving voicemails on the family answer machine, asking them to fix their PCs. And got invited to this networking event. And at the time, I rocked up, and I would have been, let me think about this, I would have been 18. And I had braces, because I had a jaw operation when I was 18. And I turn up into this room, and it's full of people that are suited and booted. And I'm there in jeans and a branded polo shirt with braces on my teeth. And I was like, oh Christ, I've been out of my depth before. I'm well out of my depth here. And I met a chap at this event. And a couple of weeks later, got chatting. He was a finance broker, and he helped companies raise finance. And in order to do that, he put together business plans. And he said, "Look, let's put a business plan together." So he went through all the facts and figures, and his exact words, I remember him to this day. It was like he just paused and he goes, "Listen, son, this isn't a hobby. This is a business. You've turned over more than the VAT threshold, and you need to do something about this." And I exceeded the VAT threshold and should have been VAT registered. And that was the point. I was like, well, sod it. I don't want to go to uni. Let's just give it a go for a year. And if all else fails, I've given it a go. What have I got to lose? So that was one. And the other one, my brother, who I love to bits, made the decision for me, because I had, before I got my first office, my parents, God bless them, they let me convert their front room into an office. So I went and bought a load of office furniture, desks and everything. And my little brother used to get home from school and just wind me up from about 3 o'clock until late evening. And I could not get any work done. It'd just be a complete pain. I'd be on the phone and he'd be mooning in at the door. And I was like, right, I've got to get an office. And yeah, you know, all of a sudden taking on a lease, that was forced upon me. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah. I love that. I think you're one of the only businesses that, well, I think you're the only one that I've ever met, business owner that had to find an office due to family nudity, which I love.
Yeah.
So, I guess the other stuff that was going through my mind, I guess a couple of quick fire ones. How old were you when you hired the first team member, and what was that process like?
I was 19, and I just got on with it because I was running out of time. And I thought, you know what, I'll take a punt because, yeah, you know, I could work myself to death and there's only 24 hours in a day, or I could take that jump and buy back some of my time.
And did you go for an apprentice? Did you go for someone experienced? Did you go for a friend?
No,
how did that decision take place?
I spoke to the college where I got my DOHE, and I said to them, I need to have someone help me out within the business. Who would you recommend? And the first person that I ever employed was also called Luke. So when we started the company, it was the two Lukes. And the most funny thing is a lovely bloke. Honestly, it was a legend. But he handed in his notice like a year, 18 months later, because he thought that his job wasn't secure and didn't think the business was going to go anywhere.
Oh, right. What a mistake of the Mecca.
Exactly. You know, look at us now.
Yeah. And I guess like the point that you're at now, and I've got your team members on the screen here. The team's grown, hasn't it? I just like wonder, where are you headed next? What does, I know like COVID to one side, and I know you said that things are a little quieter, but it's kind of business as usual, albeit that you're working remotely. What does the future look like for you guys? What's the ambition? What excites you?
We want to dominate, well, I say we want to, we will dominate the South Coast in terms of being the leading IT provider and, you know, really carving out our patch. So, you know, any company, you know, draw a line from London, south of England, we want to be that go-to company. And, you know, we're already finding it. There's quite a few, you know, a prime example, there's quite a few large telecoms businesses on the South Coast, and you know they're great at telecoms, but they've all of a sudden said, oh, we'll do your IT as well. And before you know it, you've got a company that don't really know what they're doing. And I know that's rich coming from me when I said I've sold people servers that I didn't know what I was touching. So
yeah, that was 10 years ago, Luke. Don't worry about that.
it was longer than that. So yeah, we are really good at what we do, and that has really allowed us to be successful. So actually being recognized, and it's the truth be told, is, you know, really it's only our clients that know what we do as a business. Prime example with, you know, this whole situation, large majority of our clients just up sticks and left, no bother. So you know, that's where I want to go. I want to have the company really be that, you know, top of the mountain. They are the best company to go to for your IT.
I love that. I don't doubt that for one second, Luke, and whatever we can do to support you guys and shout about it on the journey is exciting for us. So I guess it would be really, really good stuff to understand, because I know you're at the point now where it feels to me like you're in just a fantastic position, and you've got all these years of experience behind you. You've got a competent team, you've got great vision, great ambition, but you didn't get here by accident. Some mistakes were made along the way. You had a few wins, you had some mistakes. What were the things that were your biggest learning points? What are the scars that have given you the lessons?
So not trusting or going with my gut instinct. I've always gone with my gut instinct, other than a very few number of times. And each one of those times it has bitten me on the arse. So prime example, you know, when Luke left us, I'd gone out and won all these contracts, and we're going through a massive growth phase, and it was just me again. But it was me with so much work that I couldn't service. So we went through a phase of rapidly employing people, and yeah, it's a delicate thing employing people. You know, we finally, I say finally, you know, a good few years ago, we got to a point where we had a proper recruitment process and were selective and could be selective because we had time and funds. Whereas, in those early days, it was a case of anyone that came off the street, I just need you to do a job. And I remember vividly, it was a chap came for a job and came up the stairs out of breath, and it was like, oh, sorry, I'm a bit late. There wasn't a car parking space nearby, so I went around the block a few times. And, you think about it, no big deal. Subconsciously, you take that apart, but he's lazy. He should have planned, got there before, got a parking space and walked. But no, he was too lazy to walk, so he'd rather drive around the block to find a parking space nearer. So, what does that tell you about his work ethic? Well, I found that out later on down the line. But yeah, rushing in and employing people, massive mistakes. The team now, though, I hasten to add, they are bloody fantastic. I love them to bits. They are such a good bunch, and I'd be lost without them.
They've all been texting me privately about you, Luke, giving me all of the inside track that I need to know about. So
have they sent you any nude photos?
Not yet, but hopefully that doesn't happen. I'll switch the phone off just in case. So I guess, like, based on what you said then, and this is something that we've been wrestling with on and off, and I completely resonate with everything you said about, rapidly hiring versus, just taking your time and so on. That how important is the culture and the mindset of the people in your team to helping you deliver that vision, like getting the right people in? How key is that for you?
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. So empowering people to have free reign is, there's a lot to be said for that. So don't get me wrong, as a company, we've got strict procedures and policies in place, but it's not to the point where, oh no, that doesn't sit within your department, you have to hand that over. So, allowing people to think outside the box and really do what they want to do if it's going to benefit the business, them and our clients. Really empowering the team, but also, prime example, our office, we bought the office back in 2018 and spent the best part of 300 grand in renovating it. And it's an awesome place to work. Things like that, even down our office chairs, they're made by a company called Herman Miller. They're not the cheapest, but they are so good and so comfortable. And the view I take, it's going to cost me more for someone to go off with a bad back than it is to spend, 600-700 quid on a chair. So it's all those little things. The other night, we all had a team quiz and, got Domino's pizzas delivered. So yeah, it's them little touches that actually all add up.
Yeah, nice. You just cost me about 10 pizzas and 3 cases of Brewdog. Yeah, I think maybe we should have a pop-up business school versus LMS quiz. I think that might be a bit of fun. Maybe we can figure that out.
When was it? It was
Jack's
last summer.
Ordering pepperoni as we speak. Sorry, say again?
So it was last summer. It was one of the chaps' 40th birthdays. And we had a surprise birthday party for him. And no one knew, other than 3 of us in the company, what was going to happen. So we went out and played pub golf, but before we told the whole business that we were going out, or half of them knew that we were going out to the pub just to have a meal. The chap whose birthday it was, who said, right, we've got an evening away day, just a thought process. And, all you need to bring is a pen and your brain. And he rocked up and we had like printed T-shirts and it was like, right, get a meal down. These are the rules, pub golf, out we go. So, things like that for culture are so good. And, as we grow and scale up, I do not want to lose that because that forms part of who we are as a company.
Yeah, very nice. If you were starting again tomorrow, Luke, what would you do differently?
So I asked the bank for a loan for 7.5 grand when I started and told them it was for a car. I would have asked them for 15 or 20 and been bulled. So going back to, where do you set the bar with your pricing? I should have pushed a bit higher.
Okay, there's a lot of people that are watching that are in the very early stages of their business. What advice would you give them based on what you've learned? What are the do's and don'ts, do you think, of getting something off the ground?
Always go with your gut. don't be scared, because the only person or the only thing that will ever hold you back is you. And I found that early on. I'd say, oh no, I'm not going to run that mail shot until the new website's live. The website is still the same people behind the website. Silly little things like that. I'd always let things get in the way, and in my mind go, oh, I can't do that until I've done this. And it wasn't until I realized, quite frankly, sod it, just get on with it. There's no time like the present, that things started happening. So that's a big one. Be careful with who you employ if you come to employ staff, and be selective, and actually taking more time finding the right people really does pay off. And always employ people based on attitude, not on skills, because you can learn skills, but you can't learn or change attitude. And know your finances and know how to read the figures, because that is something that I didn't get at first. And had I had that understanding from the get-go, I think I would have done things a bit differently. And the final one is build systems and try and get as much business intelligence and information out of your data as you can. So prime example, in our business, we know exactly what we're looking like from a revenue pipeline, customer satisfaction, utilization, time in advance, scheduling, the whole lot. We've got it all there in data and dashboards, and that is, so powerful. So the more data you can extract and read and really forecast on, so that not only can you grow, you can also build a steady platform. That's huge.
Great stuff. Luke, I can't believe that an hour has gone by. So it just remains for me to say thank you for giving up an hour this evening.
Sure.
It's been fascinating chatting. I feel like we could go on much, much longer. I look forward to the PopUp versus LMS quiz. If we've got lots of questions about Marvel movies, or we've got one or two football experts in the team, we might be all right. Otherwise, we're in big trouble, I think. But thank you to everybody that's been watching. Lots of folk that have put some nice comments in there. The Duke of Hypothetical Education is a late entry for the acronym. And Russ thinks you look like Hugh Grant, which, take that how you want. I think that's a compliment. Wait a minute, Russ, Hugh Grant's like twice Luke's age. I'm not sure that's a compliment anymore. But
no, I've got a really pathetic beard at the minute. We've got this stupid competition between us, who can grow the worst beard during lockdown. I joined an online poker match with my mates the other night, and I literally logged on, and first thing one of them said was like, Luke, why have you just shaved your cheeks? And I was like, oh, come on, give out.
We've got folk from Namibia in Africa, Southern Africa, watching, and they're saying thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and comments tonight, Luke. So that's brilliant. We've got some folk from all over the UK and the USA that have enjoyed your comments. And look, it's been absolutely phenomenal. Everybody, we're going to post this video on our PopUp Business School Survival Guide. Remember, the Rebel Entrepreneur podcast has just come out. And on Thursday, we've got a lovely lady from America, from Montana, called Gillian Johnsrud. She's a life coach, and she's also a money coaching expert. So wherever you're at with this virus, wherever you're at with your business, join us on Thursday night, 9:00 UK time. And Gillian's going to share her wisdom. Luke, you're an absolute legend. If you stay on the line after Jack switches off the live button, we can say cheerio properly. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye-bye.
See you later.